Guys, today we are in Jaffa, an ancient port city in Israel, known for its biblical stories of Jonah, Solomon and St. Peter, as well as the mythological story of Andromeda and Perseus, and of course is known for its oranges. Cheers! So guys, for our walking tour of Jaffa today, we are going to start by walking past the Uri Geller Museum. We'll have a look at the suspended orange tree, then walk along the Shah Ramses Garden, crossing the Wishing Bridge. Now, the house of Simon of Tanner is close by, but we have no time to visit it. It's an important landmark. From the Wishing Bridge, we'll walk across here, a walkway to reach St. Peter's Church. Following which, we'll continue the walkway down the hill, pass by the Al-Bar Mosque. From here, we can actually take a view of the Andromeda rocks. Following which, we'll continue our walk to the Tel Aviv Jaffa seaside beach here. We will then move towards St. George's restaurant for a traditional Jewish lunch. Cheers! So before starting our walk around Jaffa, the ladies pose again for one of their usual group photos. So you see the stone statue of a whale here. It's because the legend of Jonah starts here, as Jamil is telling us here. It's regarding Jonah, who was asked by God to go to Nineveh to preach the good news, but Jonah refused and set sail from Jaffa. During the voyage, there was a large storm, and the sailors threw Jonah off the ship. Immediately the storm subsided. Jonah was then swallowed by a large whale, and after praying to God, Jonah was released from the whale and was asked to continue preaching the good news. So guys, as we start walking, you can see the Uri Geller Museum up there. We're going to walk past it. This museum was opened by Uri Geller in the year 2021. It exhibits his personal collection of art and objects that Geller collected throughout his career. Among many Geller's so-called powers, his spoon-bending abilities was most iconic, and he was supposed to have performed this many times in public. Now, what has oranges got to do with Jaffa? Evidence of the existence of orchards around Jaffa can be found from the beginning of the 18th century. These orchards gradually grew up around the city and became the mainstay of its economy. In the mid-19th century, there was the start of organized citrus fruit export to European and Mediterranean markets. The Shamuti orange, developed in the Jaffa orchards, became a household word known to this day as Jaffa oranges. This suspended orange tree was the work of Israeli artist Rand Morin, completed in November 1993. It's actually a real-life orange tree suspended, hung by wires from walls of nearby houses, and it's alive to a discrete drip system, and even puts fruit during the harvesting season. According to Morin, his work represents division between man and nature. He also resonates with the fact that Jaffa was a major exporter of oranges, the Jaffa orange. So Jaffa is known in Hebrew as Yafo, Arabic Jaffa, and also called Joppa. And Jamil is telling us that this spot is a large open-air theatre made famous by various productions held here.
And here you can see there is like a theater. Sometimes they make veloculas, sometimes they make movies there, actors. So Tel Jaffa is very important one. And from here we can start from the old to the modern.
Jamil is saying that from this old city of Jaffa right here, you can see the modern Tel Aviv in the skyline there.
Here there is St. Peter, that's the church of St. Peter. And here St. Peter, he rose Tabitha from death. Here there is the church, this is the tower of the church. And also there is like the house of Simon the Tanner.
So St. Peter stayed here at the house of Simon the Tanner.
And he had a dream that he can eat from all kinds of meat. So that's like the separation between Judaism and Christianity started from here.
So as Jamil says, St. Peter stayed in the house of Simon the tanner, and there he had a dream that he could eat anything, any animal he wanted. That marked the separation between Judaism and Christianity.
And from here, St. Peter went to Caesarea, more to the north, in order to convert.
So as Jamal says, after this dream, St. Peter went north towards Caesarea. There he met Cornelius and converted him and started propagating the Christian faith from here onwards. So guys, we are now heading to the Wishing Bridge, and as you can see what it says here on the sign, according to an ancient legend, anyone that boards the bridge and holds its zodiac sign and looks at the sea, their wish will come true. So since my star was Taurus, I'm putting my hand on the bull and making a wish, looking at the sea.
I thought brothers, both of them will lions.
Sing is lion.
So guys, you can see the St. Peter's Church there in the background, to which we are heading now. Now, as we were walking down the hill towards St. Peter's Church, we found this interesting square, together with a pond and a running fountain called the Zodiac Fountain. Archaeological remains here, dating back to the 3rd century BCE, provide evidence of a continuous settlement in Jaffa. Jaffa was a main crossroad and an important port city in those days. This is the site of an old wishing well, and this zodiac fountain is built over it. According to legend, anyone who wishes and throws a coin in the fountain, the wish will be instantaneously granted. This Church of St. Peter is a Franciscan church. It was built in 1654. It was twice destroyed and rebuilt. The most recent renovation was in 1903. Unlike other Catholic churches, St. Peter's Church is built facing west towards the sea. It is believed that Napoleon Bonaparte stayed here in this church during the French campaign in Egypt and Syria in 1799. Let's now have a look inside the church interior. This large picture at the altar depicts St. Peter being visited by the Archangel Michael. The pulpit, which is used for the priest to give his sermon, is made of wood in the shape of a living tree. And the stained glass windows there were manufactured in Munich by the renowned artist Franz Xavier Zettler. Now this is the Alba Mosque, or the Sea Mosque. This small mosque was built of sandstone blocks. It was believed to be built in the 17th century. The city's Muslim sailors and fishermen used to pray here before going out to sea. Far out to sea from here, you can see the Andromeda rocks, which have served for thousands of years as a natural dock, albeit a dangerous one for commercial vessels and fishing boats. According to Greek mythology, the king of Jaffa offered his daughter Andromeda as a sacrifice to assuage the anger of Poseidon, the god of sea, who had threatened the city. The beautiful Andromeda was bound to the rocks of the Jaffa's coast to await her death. However, the hero Perseus arrived on his horse Pegasus, killed the sea monster and married Andromeda. The coastal cannons. These cast iron cannons were found during excavations at the Jaffa port. They were imported by the Ottoman government in the early 18th century to protect Jaffa from raids by land and sea pirates and to enhance Jaffa's stature. They stood on the city walls until those walls collapsed in the second half of the 19th century. So now we are walking towards the beach to try and get the feel of the Israeli sea. So you can see all the members of our tour group just sat up there watching us. It was just in the end just Raja, myself and Adam who braved the waters of the sea. So guys, all that walking made us hungry and we headed off for lunch at this famous restaurant with authentic Jaffa food. This restaurant, the St. George restaurant, was established in the year 2013 by a third generation of restaurateurs from the Shaviri family, one of the veterans and best known of Jaffa families. And their culinary spread is supposed to be typical Jaffa cuisine. At the shop, you could see the cook making this bread for us. It was unleavened bread, bread without yeast or flat bread. The popularity of unleavened bread dates back to the time of the Passover. The Passover is a feast celebrated by people of Jewish faith to commemorate their release from the Egyptians under the Pharaoh. Moses had asked the Pharaoh to release the Jews from Egypt, but the Pharaoh refused. Then God sent the angel of death to kill all firstborn sons in Egypt. The Israelites were told to mark their doors with lamb's blood so that the angel of death would pass over their houses. So this is the origin of the feast of Passover celebrated by the Israelis. After the killing of the firstborn, the Pharaoh agreed to let the Israelites go. But in their haste to leave Egypt, they could not wait for the bread to rise with yeast, hence they took away unleavened bread with them. This is the reason why unleavened bread is always used during the feast of Passover. So as they served us this freshly made unleavened bread for us, it came with servings of hummus, tomato paste, purple cabbage and mint pudina to dip with the bread.
Purple cabbage, tomato paste, all goes well with the bread. Isn't it? It goes well with the bread,
So after the starters of bread with all the dips, they served us freshly grilled beef and chicken skewers. Thank you. Both the chicken and the beef look very delicious, so I decided to try both of them. How's the chicken? Chicken and beef, which you prefer?
The beef, definitely
Why,
the beef. Chicken was a bit flat. What are you up to?
I think you told me roasted on you. Yeah. So you prefer the beef, huh?
Definitely prefer the beef.
Okay.
Chicken,
But
because you want to top up with the sauces.
No, not flavored, the chicken. What another interesting feature of the restaurant is you could actually watch the cooks cooking the food while waiting to be served.
Where are you from?
Malaysia.
Malaysia, welcome.
Very nice.
Nice to meet you.
You should welcome to. The cooks even gave me some freshly cooked cashew nuts for me to munch on while waiting for my food.
I took video of the chef cooking, he gave me his cashew nuts to try.
So the meal was followed by a dessert of baklava and hot black coffee.
Baklava, yes.
Nice.
My name is Omar.
Your name is Omar.
Yes, Omar.
Omar, good job.
Thank you.
Omar from here.
See Amrit showing me how sweet the baklava is with sugar dripping down from it. Yeah. Very sweet. Nice. Baklava.
Up there.
Omar, good job, Omar.
Thank you.
So I think in the end, after the good lunch, the sweetness of the baklava with the hot coffee, black coffee is a good combination to wake you up for our next adventure.